Challenges abound for stay-at-home students trying to learn online. And for all too many of them, there are no clear answers. Erin Moriarty of 48 Hours offers a crash course.
17-year-old Joshua Lynn thought he had his life all mapped out. A junior in a Baltimore public high school, he was on the road to a top college and a career as a lawyer.
Going to go to law school, pass the bar, be like you, Miss Erin. I had all that planned out.
And then in March, without much warning,
all public schools in Maryland will be closed.
I've ordered the closing of all schools in the state of South Carolina.
We're going to be closing all public schools across the state.
98.8% of our schools have closed down.
No one truly had a plan in place for students to, succeed or continue that learning at all.
Lynn and students throughout the country, including those in college, were suddenly forced to go home and learn remotely, either through online classes, paper packets, or lessons on TV.
It's hard to understate how big a deal it is.
Doug Harris, a professor at Tulane University in New Orleans, is studying the impact of the coronavirus on schools.
You have 75 million students who are not in school, which has never happened, not at least in the last century.
The pandemic has only broadened the inequities that already exist between students. With so many now at home without computers or internet service, educators fear that as many as a quarter of them are not engaged in school at all. And how well is it going for those who are?
Every student going into every grade level has missed out on instruction. No matter how hard we're trying, it's just not the same.
Jessica Rutherford is a teacher and reading specialist in Vero Beach, Florida, who works mainly with 3rd through 5th graders who struggle with reading in a school where most students live below the poverty line.
You have 30 students. About how many would you say are doing pretty well under this, and how many are not?
I would say it's about 50%.
Only half. And that may be because to many students, she is now just a voice over the phone.
They don't have someone there, sitting side by side with them, coaching them through a lesson or helping when they get stuck. And so, it is heartbreaking because you just have to stop and wonder, okay, now when do we make up this time?
Her work days feel longer because they are.
Thank you for reading with me today.
There are meetings with parents and with other teachers, all while she's home taking care of her own 2 children,
one ball,
including a 5-year-old son, trying to learn remotely as well.
There are days where I'm just like, okay, what else? Like something has to give because this is just pure craziness, the expectation.
Aren't all teachers in the exact same boat as you are?
I don't have a doubt in my mind that there's a teacher out there that isn't giving it everything they've got. But you just still feel like you fall short.
Falling short while children fall behind. That's what also worries Kimberly Dukes, a parent who lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
The primary years and the early years are the most critical.
Dukes' children range in age from 3 years old to a senior in high school, but she worries the most about a middle child.
My elementary kids were sent home with packets of work. But what I noticed was the work wasn't for each individual student. So my baby that's in 5th grade that's reading on a 1st grade level, this work is not going to help him. And it actually broke me down, and I've cried because I actually see how my children are hurting. The inequities are much more bigger than ever before.
Yet the greatest pressures may weigh on the students themselves, like Joshua Lynn in Baltimore.
We've always been told that colleges look at your junior year, make sure your grades are on point for that junior year because that's all they're going to be looking at. You can't expect students to properly succeed in those environments that catastrophically change in a matter of days.
As he has always done, Lynn juggles his job at a fast food restaurant while taking 7 rigorous classes, all now online, which means less help from teachers.
I don't think that I'm doing my best that I can. So I'm a student that values feedback.
He often works late into the night and early morning when uncertainty looms large.
It definitely has got me thinking, what's next? What is going to be put in place by, the people in charge?
There are no clear answers because even educators don't know if schools will return to normal in the fall.
There may have to be adaptations in the schooling environment, possibly, running shifts of students, a morning shift and an afternoon shift.
And even then, Doug Harris says it will take time for some students to recover what they lost, as it did in New Orleans in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina forced schools to close.
It was about 2 years on average. That last word, on average, is important, though, that different students are experiencing this very differently. The students who are in the best situations are those who can do what we're doing right now. They have a computer and they have an internet connection and they have a quiet room. They don't have obligations. They're not taking care of their younger siblings while their parents are at work or sick.
But remote learning has made one thing very clear, as noted by Hollywood writer Shonda Rhimes in a viral tweet. Few people will ever take teachers for granted again.
Oh, I 100% believe that. There's nothing quite like the connections we have at school.
Joshua Lynn can't wait to get back.
I definitely think that this has actually have motivated me to go even harder and, to strive more and to become the person I want to become and even more.